Hello, YouTube. Deranged clown here. With the kind of deranged hair, I don't know. I'm getting old. Oh well. Um, Before I get into these two topics that I want to delve into here, let me just say the reason why I'm focusing on my face, quite frankly, is because I want you to know who I am. I don't wear a mask like these anti-Semitic cowards do. These COVID masks or the terrorist scarves. Here's my ugly mug. All right. I'm not like these anti-Semitic terrorists who, just like the KKK, hid behind masks. You get to see the ugliness of me. Okay. So, just want to get that out of the way. Two questions though have been brought up about these protests, these anti-Semitic protests. And I want to address them. So let's just focus on a few of the more, I guess you can call them sideline issues, but they're just as important. Issue number one, and this was brought up by a Republican in Congress, by the way. He brought up a really good point. Higher education is obsessed with DEI. For those of you who don't know, probably there may still be a few people who don't know what that means, but it means diversity, equity, inclusion. Now, how many of us have heard that we need to accept people for who they are? We can't be judgy. We need to be inclusive. We need to include them. Right? So you can have guys dressing up as girls. Okay, you can have people flaunting lifestyles that are not healthy. You can have people who are confused about their gender acting out. We need to accept them for who they are because we're all just one big group of people, and it's just vicious and mean to not be inclusive and to embrace equity and inclusion, and diversity is good, right? We heard this garbage. Why isn't that being applied to Jewish students? Why is it that it's only things that are related to the sexual revolution and its attendant afterthoughts, ideas that it's kind of morphed into its current form? Why is it that DEI isn't being applied to Jewish students? Why? Why aren't these students who are being in contradiction to the law by illegally camping in these on these campuses, why aren't they being put into sensitivity training? Isn't that funny? And yet all this time we've been hearing, oh, we need DEI. And I remember a congressional hearing where Republicans were talking about DEI being taught in the military, and there were Democrats saying, well, not only should DEI be taught in the military, but it should be taught here in Congress too. And they're all about the DEI, all about the inclusion, and all of a sudden they're all about excluding. Columbia University is a great example of this. There was, of course, the riots, and Columbia University said, online classes only. And then they relented it and they said, we're going to do hybrid classes. Okay. Anyone who's not Jewish is free to go to class. If a student is Jewish, don't bother going to class. And if you do want to go to class, we'll discourage you as best we can to keep you from going to class. But if the student's not Jewish, by all means, go to class. This from the same DEI bunch. This from the same bunch of people who are mad about apartheid. It's sickening. And it's just what it shows is that DEI is a farce. It's a joke. Its sole purpose is to advance the sexual revolution that started in the mid 60s. It is not inclusive to everyone unless they happen to have lifestyles. And then it is. So the next time I hear talk of inclusion and everyone's equal, and I'm just going to think about that, say, yeah, you lying sack of crap. You don't believe in inclusion and everyone being equal, or else every kid in those encampments student would be expelled, or at the very least be put into sensitivity training. All right, second one. Where is the money coming from? This is a topic that's been brought up too online, and I was watching a video of a reporter that's going through, I believe it's the UCLA campus, the aftermath of when law enforcement went in and took the criminals out and kicked them out. And she was going through all this stuff, and there was some really nice stuff. And as someone who's bought outdoor equipment, it's expensive stuff there. Nice tents. There were comments about brand new coolers. Tents were brand new. A lot of people are saying it's from REI. Guys, if you're shopping in the future for outdoor products, you might want to consider that. REI is very likely supplying these rioters with equipment to do these encampments. You might want to consider that when it comes time to purchase that extremely expensive tent or cooler or sleeping bag. Because trust me, you're not missing a thing by not getting any REI products. All right, there's plenty of other companies that produce just as good, if not better, of a product. So if you want to skip REI entirely, I don't think you would be hurting. But this reporter was going along and she was pointing out there's these flashlights still in a package with batteries. And as someone who buys this stuff, I'm looking at that. I'm like, wow, that's expensive. There's a stand. This was at the UCLA protest where they had like helmets and they had like these public safety vests, these orange reflective vests, knee pads, gloves, leather gloves. Anyone who's bought that stuff knows that is not cheap. Where are these students getting the money to afford this? I think that's a really good question. In Israel, they're talking about how some of these Middle Eastern countries that support Hamas may be funding these protests. That's something law enforcement needs to look into. That's something that the Republicans in the House may have to look into, and I'm sure they are. And I think they can use some forensic accounting and trace it right back, and I can almost guarantee you it's going to trace it right back to these terrorist supporting regimes. That's just a couple of questions that I think are not being asked. And I just have a bonus question, I guess. Why is it so hard for these higher institutions of learning to define anti-Semitism? As the Antisemitism Awareness Act that the Republican-led House passed with a lot of support from Democrats, so credit where credit is due, although more Democrats opposed it than Republicans. 20 Republicans opposed it and 93 Democrats opposed it. That's in the House. But anyways, why is it so hard for higher education to define anti-Semitism? Right in the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, it states that the definition for anti-Semitism is what the International Holocaust Remembrance Committee drafted, and it was put via an executive order by President Trump. Remember that next time, when these elections come up here in November, in an executive order, Donald Trump ordered the Department of Education to use the IHRC's International Holocaust Remembrance Group. I forget the exact name, but it's IHRC, their definition of anti-Semitism. So why is it that these higher educational institutions are not following what the Department of Education has said? This is the definition of anti-Semitism. Why? Why aren't they doing that? In fact, the act that passed the House, it explicitly states this will be the standard definition for anti-Semitism. I think that's great. So, on another note, I have noticed that a lot of people are starting to push back against anti-Semitism. Great. Let's push back. Let's keep fighting it. Let's take it down. But we're going to have we still have a long ways to go. And we still have an uphill battle before America can have the moral high ground again when it comes to anti-Semitism. But hey, we're fighting the battle, and that counts for something. So, all right, if you have questions, comments, whatnot, feel free to leave them in the comments. And all right, see ya.